Alright guys, Hatch back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Gentlemen's agreements have been a big discussion point over the last couple of weeks, and the community is downright fuming at the players for some of the decisions they have made over the last couple of days. J Nissim believes he is the man to come to the rescue of the CDL right now and set up a committee of leaders of the various teams in order to resolve all of these problems and hold people accountable for the decisions that are potentially made. Will BenJ be successful though in this venture? He believes that Scrappy, because he doesn't like him particularly, will shut down the idea and prevent this actually becoming a reality. Is that actually going to be happening? Will Ghosty step into the rescue potentially from that Thieves team? Will the other teams agree to BenJ's demands? Robots, and true to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, just a little bit of a nostalgia hit for you guys. These are weapons from Black Ops 1 that are maybe being considered to be bringing back to Black Ops 6 here. Now, just this brings a whole wave of emotion over me. This is my first ever CoD Black Ops 1. If you guys never played it, you really did miss out, but I'm sure there's some of you OGs out there that really enjoyed this title. Man, the FAMAS was a god tier weapon. The Galil was one of my absolute favourite guns ever. I know they brought it back, I think, did they bring it back to Black Ops 3 or some recent game? I think they brought the Galil back. Probably didn't quite hit the same as the original though. The Commando, oh my god. The Commando reload time was like the best thing ever. The G11 was an insane gun. It was like a 3-round burst gun. You only got that, by the way, if you like unlocked or got like all the other weapons. If you bought all the other guns, because the COD points back then you could use them to like unlock weapons basically. If you bought all the other guns, then you got the G11. It was the same thing for the SMGs when it came down, I think, to maybe the MPL was the special one there. And it's funny to think back because when I first played Black Ops 1, my favorite gun, I'll give you guys a few seconds to guess what my favorite gun was when I was like 11 playing Black Ops 1. You'll never guess in a million years. It was the RPK. For some reason, I just really loved the LMGs. And the funny thing is about the LMGs back then, they didn't have many bullets in. Apart from the M60, which I think had 100 bullets in the mag, every other LMG, the RPK had 40 rounds in the mag. Like, it wasn't even what you'd consider to be a good modern day LMG. And it wasn't that slow, I guess, compared to the ARs, but it had some bullets in, and I guess I was spraying and praying and missing all my bullets anyway, so I guess I liked the extra 40 bullets in the mag. I don't know, I kind of missed that. The Spaz 12 was epic in that game. I liked the Dragunov as well, just because it sounded cool, I think. But yeah, what a game, Black Ops 1. If I had to choose some guns to come back, I mean, to be fair, we have like a Commander, like we have an M4, we have a 3-round burst. I'd love to see the Galil. I miss the Galil iron sights more than like the Galil silence. Oh my god, that was a different world. So I think that might be my choice actually, maybe a hot take. Now over the last couple of days we've talked about these head-to-head KDs, engagement numbers basically from some of the pro players, and I honestly thought that these numbers only existed or Cyber only collected them for the FaZe guys. Turns out however, we actually have more of the numbers on this, and these are, I mean, I don't know, honestly, fair play collecting all this data over the season, but this is kind of crazy. Now Fame is getting slammed by both Simp and by Insight. He has a 1.7 against him by Simp and of course by Insight as well. But these other numbers are remarkable, like truly remarkable to me. So Ghosty has a 1.86 against Priestahh last season. HyDra had a 1.75 against Standy. And to me, the standout by a mile here is accuracy against Kenny, which is crazy, right? Because Kenny is kind of considered accuracy to be his like COD father or whatever, right? Was the guy who kind of took a chance on him back in the World War II Team Caliber days. Obviously a guy that he's looked up to and respected a lot. Of course, coached him potentially, well, we think he did, at the World Championship to OpTic's victory at the World Championship this season. And it's not like accuracy played well this year. Accuracy had like a 0.9 this season. He had a pretty standard accuracy main AR season. And of course now he's retired basically and is going on to coach the Cloud9 roster. But against Kenny specifically, on the best team in the game overall, the team that won the World Championship, he dropped a 1.65 last season. Now minimum 117 engagements seems like an arbitrary number. I think they explained that actually that was simply the 75th percentile. So any engagements that were in the lower 25% of engagement numbers between matchups, they excluded those and then went with these numbers. So probably that's fair enough. It's just why the number looks a little bit strange. Thought it was pretty cool to see this as well. Esports Controller Player of the Year, just looking back over the last few years, we have had some winners that haven't been Call of Duty players, but generally speaking, it's all been COD players or, in Formal's case, a Halo player. But to be fair, CoD's record in terms of controller player of the year is legendary. Since 2016, Scump won it in 2016, Formal won it in 2017, couple of years with non-CoD players, then Shotzzy in 2020, Simp in 21, Formal in 22, HyDra in 23, and then Shotzzy this year in 2024. So Shotzzy's now won it twice. Formal, the only other player on here to have won it twice, which is yeah, very commendable to say the very least. Congrats to Naja as well. Of course, he's been doing the subathon now and he's been killing it with the content. Hit 50,000 subscribers yesterday, so look, you guys can do the math in terms of how much cash that translates into. Obviously, Naja leaked it the other day anyway, but yeah, I thought this is amazing. But let's talk about some of the drama, right? Because we know that CoD is always full of drama and it's continued over the last couple of days involving some of these players. Even TJ says getting one naded through Flak Jacket is increasing my CTE levels. Simp says he's got to check the classes. So yeah, there are still some problems in the game. People are like, well, hang on a second, do I have flak on or don't I? And sometimes even if you do, you can still get killed by a single nade. It ain't ideal. But are they going to GA the nades? Probably not. Are they going to GA the Sorg or other weapons that maybe shouldn't be banned? That seems like that is the case, right? So J Nissim has been talking about this. Loads of the pro players have been talking about this. What can we do, if anything, to fix the current GA system? We've talked about this for years. The league, it seems, are never going to step in. We've always said it. The league could create some sort of committee or whatever, and they would decide some of the decisions. But no, the pros, they go into a group chat, and in the group chat, one player says this, the other teams say, I don't know what you're yapping about, and all of a sudden there's a vote going down in the group chat, and people like OpTic are voting out the Sorg just because they don't use it, despite the fact that it's not even too good. And that's the problem that we currently have. What we would like to have as a community is at least these discussions to be had publicly, because it shouldn't just be the pros that make these decisions. The league doesn't really seem to care. They're like, well, pros, you can do what you want, play the game as you would choose to. That wasn't the case a couple of years ago. I think when the CDL first started, they wanted to pretend that gentlemen's agreements didn't exist. They actually wanted to like shut down any mention of it because it felt like collusion, right? There were even rulings in the league book on, you know, you couldn't collude with another team, which is kind of what's going on here, really, right? Because the teams are agreeing not to use a weapon which is more powerful than what they're actually using, potentially, not in the case of the Sorg, but you know what I'm saying. They're going to ban the Krig, for example, maybe the strongest they are right now in the game, and effectively they are colluding to play the game in a certain way, whereas they could play the game in another way to maximize their competitiveness. They decide not to do so. That was raised as a problem a few years ago, and the league tried to kind of shut this whole thing down. Now they don't really seem to care. But it is relevant to the league and to the community as well in terms of what happens here. Like, the snipers have been banned by the pros. The snipers are not too strong in this game, certainly if you take all the attachments off. But there was one, I don't know, Beans fried some pro player. That pro player moaned about it. The other teams then said, well, you know what? We don't really have a great sniper rifle player on our team. Let's vote for it to be gone because it doesn't really help us. All of a sudden, you've got the sniper getting banned when it really shouldn't be. And that hurts the community as well, I would say. Like, you know, the sniper makes search and destroy more fun to watch. Do we want to grow the scene? Do we care about what the fans think about things? Do we care about potentially having a more, you know, versatile weapon meta? It's not necessarily in the pros' best interest, but it shouldn't be just the pros that make these decisions. The league should be involved, and on some level, the community should be considered as well. So BenJ's trying to find a way to resolve this. He says, all right, I'm going to break out the slides. I'm going to fix the GA process once and for all. And this is what he had to say on the stream last night, that he's looking to create effectively a GA committee. And the idea would be, instead of a group chat with the pros, we take a representative from every team, we bring them into a committee, and we have these discussions publicly, really. So at least people know what's going on. People can present their arguments. It was talked about. What if you have a weekly, at least at the start of the season, group chat on stream with Zuma and Ben or whoever? You talk through the issues. One team can say, hey, we want to discuss this at this week's committee meeting, because the way that it's currently done is terrible. It's a good idea to say, all right, one team, maybe they got slammed in scrims this week by a Sorg. That player brings it up in the meeting and they say, hey, we think the Sorg might be busted. What do you guys think about it? They have a discussion. Maybe they agree it's too strong. Maybe they don't. A decision is made, they move on. And if they want to rearrange it, then we talk about it in next week's meeting or something. Nowadays, you put a message in the chat and all of a sudden, without even anyone realizing it, there's a vote happening that nobody knows about and something's been decided.
But I don't know if they're going to do it. That's why you got to ask. You got to ask them.
I think I can get almost every team down
The
The
song
only
is
team
gross
I think
at
I'm
range.
running
Low-key,
issues with and
please,
why I
I'm
need your
gonna-
help
We're
is
pushing
Thieves.
SMG
Because I think I
propaganda
can
here.
get Dan
All
down,
right, please relax.
but I
All right, we're pushing
don't know about
SMG
Scrap and
proppy
Paco,
right
and I
now.
might need your help
Tired of this
talking
shit.
to one or both of them. Because I think I can get Dan Ghosty. Dan Ghosty loves this shit. Dan Ghosty will live for this shit. And I think I can get Shane and Troy on, but I don't know if
We might as well. Hey, Hayes down with a 5. Hayes down with a
you need
5,
that if
baby.
you're talking.
I definitely think we should get Dan Ghosty because Dan Ghosty's also been very vocal. At least to me, like he's communicated a lot to me. We've been
Yeah, no,
texting.
I think Dan is gonna go with this.
Like we'll message each other back and forth about
Yeah.
GAs and shit, and he honestly like, bro, Dan's been the best pro in terms of like communicating, like what's good, like what he thinks, why certain things, like even with the sniper thing, like he was like trying to explain what the
So Ben seems to think that he can get the majority of teams on board with this committee idea, because I think a lot of the teams agree the process isn't good. Certainly many former pros agree to this, and there's an argument you could put the coaches in the group chat instead, but I think a lot of teams will want to have a player representative in the chat. Maybe you could do both, I don't know. But yeah, that's the plan anyway. Loads of players, even Pred said it the other day, he was like, I don't know why the Sorga's been banned, I just stay in my own lane. But it's not like OpTic think the process is good. They don't. I'm sure that they don't. Basically, every team, I think, would probably tell you the current process for the GAs is not good. But that's how it's done, and it's difficult to get pros to change anything. Like, let's not forget a couple of years ago when there was all this talk about starting a union, a players' union. That never happened, did it, right? Like, you know, whatever reason, people didn't agree. They can never get it off the ground. It required some money. People had to put up some money for, like, a lawyer to get this whole thing drafted up. Some players weren't willing to, so it never actually happened. So, you know, someone has got to do the heavy lifting. It's not going to be the pros. That's what we know about competitive cards. So Ben's trying to make it work, and credit to Ben for trying to make it work. I hope that he can make it work. The question is, does he have the support? And that's the funny thing about this, right, is that BenJ, you know, I like Ben. I think he's a sound guy. I think he's actually quite critical to the flank at times. If without Ben, I think that things wouldn't be as good as they are, although that's a controversial take. Some people don't like him. I get it. He's obviously a bit of a polarizing, divisive figure in the scene. If it had been someone else other than Ben, would it have gone through? Like, if this wasn't Ben's committee, if this was someone else's committee, like Octane or Zuma's committee or whatever, and maybe Zuma's going to try and make it work. But, you know, if that was the case, that the pros liked more, like if it was, you know, Nadeshot's, I don't know, like someone's got to be unbiased, I guess. But still, just because Scrappy doesn't like BenJ, Ben is concerned that Scrappy isn't going to want to get on board with this and is going to shut down the whole idea and say, no, I'm not helping out Ben. I'm not letting Ben get one over on me here or whatever. Like, we're going to shut this whole idea down. But Ben does say that Ghosty, fully on board. He's also on Thieves with that idea and very much agrees that the process needs to be changed. So there is some optimism, I would say, that they can sort this one out. But intrigue your thoughts in the comment because, you know, Envoy basically said the other day the Sorga's been GA'd for no real reason. And it's just so bad and it needs to be better. We'll see if they actually make this one happen. But very much intrigue your thoughts in the comments as always. Just a quick one. These were probably your 4 best players of last season. This year, 2 of them were on the same team. But who's going to be the MVP? Is it going to be someone else on one of these rosters? Is the SMG going to be stronger than the AR? How's that going to go? My pick, I think, is maybe an AR this year. I think that over the last few years, we've seen that lots of the MVPs have been SMG players. And I think this year, the way the game is, the Jackal's still very good. It's going to be very good. But I do think this game, the movement, the way that it is, I think some of the AR players can do a good job this season. So I'm looking at Scrappy and I'm looking at Dashy, I think, as well. I think Dashy this year is a real player to watch for me because he's looked strong so far in OpTic's practice. I think it's a game that suits him very nicely. So I'm predicting this year we go back to an AR MVP, and I'm thinking Scrap or Dashy are 2 of the guys that come first to mind. But very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.